Now we're going to move right along with decimal fractions. A decimal fraction is a number that has no whole parts. The key here is that a decimal fraction has no whole part. That means there are 0 whole units. A decimal fraction can be used to name a number less than 1. So what decimal fraction of each square is shaded? Well, this is the whole square, and how many whole squares are shaded? 0. How many tenths? 4. And so we can put that in a place value chart. 0 whole units and 4 tenths. Remember, your decimal point, you have to make it nice and bold. Okay? Bold, loud, and proud, happy to be a decimal point. And then we can just write it as a decimal fraction. This is 4 tenths. How many whole squares are shaded? 0. How many tenths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 tenths. So when I put that in my place value chart, 0 whole units and 5 tenths. And when I write it in standard form as a decimal fraction, it is 0 and 5 tenths. How many whole squares are shaded? 0. How many tenths? 9. I can tell without counting because there's 10 in all and only 1 is blank. And so that would be 0 whole units and 9 tenths. Or 9 tenths. Alright, and so you can fill in the rest of these yourself. There's 0 whole squares, but then there's 7 tenths. There's 0 whole squares, and then there's 8 tenths. You can fill these in on your own. And then down here it says a decimal fraction can be written in 2 ways. With a 0 in the ones place or without a 0. And so I'm going to highlight the keywords. A decimal fraction can be written with a 0 or without a 0. A decimal fraction can be written with a 0 or without a 0. And then the example shows me how to write it with a 0. That's 0 and 6 tenths. Or without a 0, and I would just write the 6 tenths part. So go ahead and do that for this portion down here.